There's a test that predicts how long you'll live. Sit down on the floor and stand back up without using your hands, knees, or any support. Research tracking over 2,000 adults found that those who scored lowest on this test were 5 to 6 times more likely to die over the next 6 years compared to high scorers. It's called the sitting rising test, and it measures something most people over 40 don't realize they're losing: the strength, flexibility, and coordination that keeps you independent. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to take the test, why most people fail, and the 12-week progression to pass it. Plus, there's a secret weapon that makes this work faster than exercise alone. Let's start by taking the test right now. Start standing with your feet hip-width apart. Lower your body toward the floor with control, crossing your legs as you descend. Touch your bottom to the floor in a cross-legged sitting position. Avoid using your hands, arms, or knees for support. Now, from that cross-legged seated position, rise back to standing. Again, no hands, arms, or knees. Maintain balance and control throughout. If you just tried this, you probably noticed it's harder than it looks. That's because this test simultaneously challenges 3 different systems in your body, and I'll explain what those are in a moment. But first, let's talk about scoring. The test is scored out of 10 points total. You get 5 points maximum for sitting down, and 5 points for rising up. Subtract 1 point each time you use a hand, forearm, knee, or side of your leg for support. Subtract half a point if you show unsteadiness or partial loss of balance. So if you used one hand going down, one knee coming up and wobbled slightly, that's 1 point for the hand, 1 point for the knee, and half a point for the wobble. That gives you a score of 7.5 out of 10. Here's what your score means. A score of 8 to 10 indicates low mortality risk. You're 6 times less likely to die from cardiovascular conditions over the next decade. A score of 5 to 7 means you can handle most daily activities, but have significant room for improvement. And a score of 0 to 4 indicates 5 to 6 times higher mortality risk compared to high scorers, and a strong need for the training I'm about to show you. Most adults who struggle with this test share 3 distinct weaknesses, and the good news is, all 3 are trainable. Reason 1, insufficient upper body pushing strength and core stability. When you rise from the floor, you need to push through your legs while your core keeps your torso stable. If your upper body is weak or your core can't brace properly, you'll instinctively reach for the ground with your hands. This weakness develops because most of us never push up from the floor anymore. We use chairs, beds, couches. Furniture does all the work. Your body adapts to what you ask of it. Stop asking it to push, and it stops being able to. Reason 2, inadequate hip mobility combined with weak leg extension power. The cross-legged sitting position requires hip external rotation and flexion, ranges that disappear when you sit in chairs for 8 hours a day. Your hip flexors get tight, your glutes get weak, and suddenly you can't squat deep enough to sit on the floor without falling backward. Then even if you get down, standing up requires quad and glute strength in deep ranges most people haven't trained in decades. Reason 3, compromised dynamic balance control. The sitting rising test isn't symmetrical. One leg pushes before the other. You shift your weight, rotate through your hips, and control multiple planes of movement simultaneously. If your balance has deteriorated from lack of practice on uneven surfaces or floor-based movements, you'll lose stability and reach for support. Here's the critical point. The most effective training addresses all 3 simultaneously, rather than in isolation. That's exactly what this 12-week progression does. Now, before I show you the 12-week progression, quick note. What I'm about to give you works for most people, but everyone has different weaknesses. If you want a personalized assessment that identifies your specific limitations and gives you customized training based on your results, I've created a full-body functional guide. Link is in the description. But for the general progression that works for most people, here's the 12-week plan. The first 4 weeks focus on rebuilding the foundation, mobility, and confidence. You're not trying to pass the test yet. You're preparing your body to handle the movement safely. Movement 1, wall press. Stand about 2 feet from a wall with feet together and back completely straight. Place your hands on the wall at shoulder height, pull your navel toward your spine to engage your core. Squeeze your glutes. Then slowly lower your body until your nose nearly touches the wall. Pause for 2 seconds. This pause is crucial because it replicates the lack of momentum you'll face when pushing up from the floor. Then push back to starting position. Perform 10 repetitions for 3 sets daily. This builds upper body pushing strength without requiring floor-based movements initially. Many individuals over 50 find this exercise transformative because it builds confidence in the upper body push. Movement 2. 90-90 stretch. Sit with both legs bent at 90 degrees, one leg forward and the other to the side. Lean forward over the front leg, keeping your chest low and back straight. This targets hip internal rotation and flexion, the exact ranges the sitting rising test demands. Hold for 30 to 60 seconds on each side, 2 to 3 times daily. Hip flexor tightness is near universal in adults over 40 who sit more than 6 hours daily. This stretch directly addresses that limitation. Movement 3. Low sit to stand from chair. This is the single most transferable exercise because it replicates the exact leg angles and power requirements of rising from the floor. Find the lowest chair in your home that you can still rise from without hand support. Sit on the edge, feet flat and hip width apart. Bring your nose forward over your toes while keeping your back absolutely straight. Your hips do the bending, not your spine. You should feel this as hip flexion, not spinal bending. Then push through your heels and drive up to standing. Here's the key. Lower back down over 4 to 5 seconds using complete control. That slow eccentric phase builds eccentric strength, which is exactly what you need to control the descent in the test. Perform 8 repetitions for 2 sets, 3 times per week. Most research shows this single exercise produces the fastest functional gains because every repetition is a partial sit to stand, and your nervous system recognizes the movement pattern immediately. Weeks 5 through 8 shift to loading and power development. You're building strength in the exact ranges the test requires. Continue all phase 1 movements, wall press, 90-90 stretch, and low sit to stand, then add these 2 exercises. Movement 4. Modified mountain climbing on a bed. Start on all fours on a firm mattress. Take all your weight on 3 limbs while bringing one knee up toward your chest, driving it out behind you, then returning to the starting position. Keep your core tight throughout. Imagine someone is about to push on your stomach and you're bracing against it. Alternate legs in a continuous pattern for 1 full minute, then rest. Repeat 3 times. This brilliantly addresses floor-specific demands because you're building core anti-rotation stability while practicing hip and knee flexion in a safe environment. The bed surface reduces impact stress while maintaining movement specificity. Movement 5. Goblet squats. Hold a kettlebell or dumbbell at chest height and squat to the deepest range you can achieve while maintaining a straight back. The front loading naturally encourages better movement quality than bodyweight squats alone. Perform 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, 2 to 3 times per week, with at least 48 hours recovery between sessions. This builds strength in the exact ranges your hips and legs require for the sitting rising test. Progression in phase 2. Your low sit to stand should now use a progressively lower chair as you get stronger. If you started with a standard dining chair, move to a lower footstool or box. Every other day, practice 4 to 6 sitting rising test attempts with minimal support. The final 4 weeks integrate everything into the full movement pattern. Continue all previous movements. Wall press, 90-90 stretch, sit to stand, modified mountain climbing, goblet squats, and floor sitting. Then add this final exercise. Movement 6. Single leg deadlifts. Standing on one leg, hinge at the hip while extending your opposite leg behind you for counterbalance, creating a straight line from head to heel. Lower until you feel a stretch in your standing leg's hamstring, then drive through that leg to return to standing. This pattern trains the exact muscles needed to rise from the floor, while developing the balance control required during the sitting rising test's asymmetrical standing phase. Many physiotherapists consider this the most underrated exercise for floor-based movements because single leg power directly translates to controlling the final push-off phase of rising from the floor. Perform 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions per leg, 2 to 3 times weekly. Progression in Phase 3. Your sit to stand should now be 10 to 12 repetitions. Your goblet squats should be 12 repetitions. Every other day, take full sitting rising test attempts and score yourself honestly. Track your progress. Realistic expectations are 2 to 3 point improvements each month. This means a score of 5 can become 8 in 3 to 4 months with consistent effort. Faster improvement is possible, but often comes at the cost of injury risk or unsustainable intensity. Let's recap. The sitting rising test predicts how long you'll live because it measures strength, flexibility, balance, and coordination simultaneously, the exact capacities that keep you independent as you age. If you scored low, don't panic. Realistic progress is 2 to 3 point improvement per month with consistent effort. That means a score of 5 can become 8 or 9 in 3 to 4 months. Follow the 12-week progression. Phase 1 builds the foundation. Phase 2 builds strength. Phase 3 integrates the full pattern. Take the test right now if you haven't already. Score yourself honestly. Drop your score in the comments. I want to know where you're starting. And if you're serious about improving, screenshot this progression and put it somewhere you'll see every day. This isn't about passing a test. It's about maintaining the functional capacity to get up off the floor when you're playing with your grandkids, to recover from a stumble without falling, and to stay independent well into your later years. That's what this channel is really about. Subscribe for more content on rebuilding the functional strength you thought was gone. Take the test, drop your score in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.